So you're getting ready to sell your home and you're wondering, what are the things that I must disclose before selling my property? Well, it's a good question. We get it all the time, and we're going to jump into that right now. Material defects are the thing that you are required by law to disclose. A material defect is there's something objectively defective about the home that you either have repaired or still needs to be repaired. So that doesn't cover stuff like the house being haunted or someone passed away in the home a year ago. That's not a material defect. A material defect is there is a water leak in the attic or under the sink, or there is mold growth here. So that is a material defect that has to be disclosed. So there's questions, stuff like, well, what if there was a sprinkler head that was broken a year ago and I fixed it for, $5? I went in and replaced it. Do you have to disclose that? Not in that case, because it's not a material defect anymore. This is where you start getting in a fine line when you start thinking about what must I disclose. Do you have to disclose things that you've done that have repaired material defects? In some cases you do, because the folks need to be able to go in and investigate to make sure that the work was done properly. So let's say you had a major renovation in a kitchen and you had to rerun water lines and electrical and stuff like that. Well, they may want to go in and make sure that everything was done just so to avoid any risk like electrical issues or significant plumbing issues that may be uncovered later. So signaling what you've done, especially if it's a major renovation, is a necessary aspect of proper disclosure. Now, is there a specific rule that lays all of this out that will answer every question? No, there's not. So the objective from my perspective is we want to establish good faith with a buyer, which means if at any point in the transaction they begin to suspect that there are things that we're not telling them, then it completely sours the deal. If you're making a purchase like this, of this magnitude, a property that is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions, we're talking about a transaction that is relying on good faith throughout the process. If you begin to distrust someone at that level, that they are willing to undergo a lawsuit and not disclose things in order to sell you this home, it begins to create a distrust that rarely works out. So it's usually best to try to disclose the things that legally you have to, and then even being transparent about the things that have been done so that people have a good idea of the property that they're purchasing. That is usually the best way to go about it. Now, what about number 3, environmental hazards? If you have lead-based paint, if you found there's been some mold issues, remediation, if you've located asbestos, those things need to be disclosed in the home. They need to be disclosed on these disclosures so that the buyer knows. That way they can make a decision of whether they want to move forward or not. So with all of that, there's actually a caveat, one caveat. Whenever a home goes through inheritance, a probate in Texas, according to the property code, the seller of the home does not have to disclose a single thing at all to the new property owners. In most cases, the people that are inheriting the home, especially if they haven't lived there, if they're out of state or if they're in state, but they haven't lived in the home, they're not legally liable to have to disclose the things that are going on about the home, because it is accepted that they are not someone who has an intimate knowledge of its history. You own a home and it's going through probate, this video doesn't apply to you very much. And on the flip side, if you're a buyer purchasing a home with someone who has inherited the home or has gone through probate, and you need to know that there needs to be a level of caution to say, we need to make sure that there's not anything we're missing on this property, because they're not forced to have to disclose those things. So material defects, renovation history, and then environmental hazards like asbestos or lead-based paint, with a caveat for the probate. Those are some things just to cover disclosure in 2026 here in Texas. So hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, reach out to me.